Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's Craig Pass for DS Sports. As always, we're moving away from football for this one-off episode, and we are talking about the sport of golf today. And I'm delighted to be joined by two regular football podcast guests and hosts. And I know Lewis was maybe off for the weekend, but I know he had other commitments going on at that time. He was busy doing journalism for the Stirling Uni football team and all this kind of stuff. And I know he's a very busy man, and I'm delighted to be joined by Sean as well. The reason I've got these two on board is we have the former and outgoing Stirling University golf president, and we know that Stirling Albion, obviously not. Stirling University are one of the highest regarded sport teams, one of the highest regarded golf teams in Europe. So it's obviously if you're amongst the best, you're going to be wanting to go to Stirling University. Gentlemen, how are we today? 12:30 on this Thursday afternoon. Feels like Thursday morning, though.
Good to see you out of your bed.
Aye, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie about that one, but just going through it to begin with, like we say, two handy golfers with us today. How have we been affected by this, gentlemen? Obviously, there's not a lot you can do with golf courses being closed and practice facilities potentially being shut down as well. Been tough.
Probably worst for me, Craig, has been, like you say, I'm outgoing president of Stirling Uni Golf Club. So for us, it really, the lockdown kind of came mid-March, which is when everything was kind of getting to the business end of things for us. So our second team in the trophy semi-final, so that was, we were hoping to win that event, which would have been massive for us, but obviously didn't get the chance. And then we had the Scottish Student Championships as well, which were meant to be up in Lossiemouth a few weeks back, which got cancelled. So yeah, that's probably been the most disappointing thing for me, because being my last year and obviously being in charge of the club, really wanted to do well in those. And then personally, obviously, I've just finished uni, so want nothing more than to just get out and play on the golf course, regardless of how good my golf would be, which would be pretty bad because, like you say, I've not had any chance to practice. But yeah, it'd be good to get out and enjoy the weather, regardless of what kind of form the golf is taking.
Yeah, definitely. Just remind us both of you. Remind me about your handicaps, if you may. So it's that thing we're playing. Is it 1s, 2s at the moment?
After you left.
I'm certainly not 5.
Let's go back to 5. Is that right? Okay.
I'm 2. I'm 2 at the minute.
Yeah,
I've not had a chance to play to go up to 3, so it's fine.
Yeah, certainly near Scottish golfers. So yeah, it's not been too bad. Obviously, yourself, Lewis, being up in Inverness, it's been a bit tricky, especially. Well, obviously the Stirling Uni, the student stuff certainly hasn't helped, but certainly being up. Is it Inverness your home course, or is it Castle Stuart?
Yeah, Inverness. Yeah, Castle Stuart is just along the road, but I'd like to be a member there, but they don't have any members apart from a few corporate guys who use it for outings and that. But.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, yeah, I couldn't remember that myself. I wasn't sure if it was Inverness in itself or if it was.
I'd like to say it was Castle Stuart.
Yeah. And then Sean, you were playing at Blairgowrie yourself after a recent change.
Yeah.
Obviously, Blairgowrie is a pretty well-known course around these parts. I know, obviously, I'm pretty close to it myself, so certainly not being able to play those two fine courses is a bit of a tough one for yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Thinking last night when you asked me to come on this, and then I think the last game I played was 21st of March, and I've not touched a golf club since, not hit a ball since, I hadn't had a chip in the garden since, so a bit of a nightmare. So I'm almost forgetting how to play it. Not that I knew how to play it before, but yeah, I'm almost forgetting how to play this game, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's a bit of kick in the teeth, to be honest with you. It'd be nice when the weather's been really nice. I think we had the driest April we've had in a long time, and then it's just unfortunate that constitutes in no golf and a complete the government lockdown on everybody, but it affects every walk of life. It's not just golf, but again, it's a sore one. And to be fair, I think golf's one of those sports you think that you can social distance and get out and play. I think they'll be one of the first sports to open up.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
at the moment, I think we just have to respect the guidelines and understand why it's happening. And I think that's the big thing. But yeah, it is a bit of a sore one at the minute. Just hoping to get back soon and just get out and enjoy the weather. To be honest.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Anyway, guys, we'll move it on to the more formal section of the show. We've got a few things I want to talk through about the tour and obviously the majors and just the year as a whole, really, with regards to the professional game in itself. So we'll start off at the very top. Well, I say the very top's to come. Obviously, the changes to the majors have been made, so the RNA have decided that the 149th playing of the Open Championship at Royal St George's will be cancelled for the year and will be moved back to next year. But all other US majors will be moved in terms of the dates. So we've got the Masters has been moved to November. We've got to November the 12th to be precise. US Open will be played the week before the Ryder Cup on the 17th of September, and the PGA Championship will be played in August, on August the 6th. So all of those have been moved back to later months. And it was interesting to see them decided on this move quite quickly and sort of in the early stages when pain of the US was getting going in this pandemic. Was it just sheerly that there's a bit more versatility in the weather, like with the weather being a bit nicer? Is there a bit more versatility, a bit more room for manoeuvre with these dates?
To an extent, I think the one with the Masters was the first one that was called. Obviously, that was the first one coming up in April time, mid-April time, and they've moved it back to was it November? I think it is, isn't it?
November the 12th, yeah.
Yeah, so you're probably stretching that as far as it could probably go at that point. I would say. I think that you're going to see a big difference when it comes to that major being played, due to the fact that it's going to be a bit colder. The ball's not going to fly as far. The course will be slightly different, probably a wee bit softer than it would be in April time. So that will be a very, very different tournament come November than it would be in April. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays. But they've probably stretched that as far as they can go. In terms of the other two, it makes sense to have, if you've got an American Ryder Cup, which obviously there's a lot of talk about where that can go ahead. I think we'll touch on that later on in a wee bit. But the US Open is one that you could probably get in there. Again, September time, you're not going to feel much difference in there than you would probably a month and a half before. Again, maybe slightly colder, ball won't fly as far, probably a wee bit windier if it's anything like it is in Scotland anyway at that point.
Yeah.
And then obviously the PGA is always around that time, so that really doesn't really change much at all. I think it usually is later than that. I'm pretty sure it was 2-3 years ago until they changed it to a different date. But in the Ryder Cup year, it usually is in August anyway, so that's really not changing that much. So I think your biggest change will be the Masters, and you'll see a lot that'll play a bit differently. US Open might play a bit differently. I'm not really sure about the weather conditions at that point in that part of America, but I think your PGA won't change much. So if it works out and everything goes well, I think they'll be okay with the changes that they've made there, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the schedule that you've just kind of read out, Craig, it's like unbelievable. There's going to be, if it does go ahead, which I think is still a big if, in September, like those events, you've got the PGA followed by, well, like in a month's time, then you've got the US Open, then immediately after that is the Ryder Cup, and then like a month later you've got WGC, and then the Masters of like a fortnight after the WGC, which is an unbelievable stretch of golf in winter. So
I know.
That would be, I'd be interested to see how that works. It seems like it's just, they've obviously just kind of cobbled it together, which is about as best they can do. But yeah, be interesting to see how that does work in America, because like the laws in America at the moment are kind of, I'm no expert on it, but seems like they're phasing golf back in gradually across the country. So be interesting to see how professional golf looks at the very highest level in a few months' time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think I touched on it on as in another show with you, Craig. But I think a lot of this depends on travel, because you can't have a major tournament without your top players from the UK. And if your UK players can't get to America, or other parts of your French, your Italian players who have also been countries that have been badly hit by it, if they can't get to the country to play the tournament, then you can't just tell them that they can't play, because then it's not really fair at all. So I think a lot of it will depend on travel, but at least they've got something in place there. But as I said, we'll probably have to sit and wait and see what countries do quarantine-wise. I know the UK are probably talking about it now for a 2-week quarantine period coming into the UK coming up soon. I think that was being discussed in Parliament over the last couple of weeks. So stuff like that, you've got to be careful with, because players might have to adapt their schedules around that if they want to play in these tournaments. But can these tournaments really go ahead if you need a 2-week quarantine period before it? It's one of those ones. So I think we'll have to just wait and see. But the schedule itself, it makes sense. I can understand why they've done it.
Yeah, it was interesting there. Just when you're talking about all these different players from different countries, it's going to be difficult, because if you deny the players the right to play these events because of travel restrictions and all this, this is going to affect their tour card for next year. You know what I mean? And the PGA Tour is where it's the biggest golf is played theoretically. There's only 1 or 2 events on the European Tour which players might come back for. So it's like in preparation for the Open, or the Open Championship back home, or it's anything like that. But interesting you touched upon the sort of later half of the schedule to September to November, Lewis. I picked out September sort of more specifically as a really intriguing month. So you've got, like you say, you've got the US, the US Open in the state of New York on September 17th. Then obviously the Ryder Cup at Whistling Straits the week after. But 2 weeks before any of that, you've got the Tour Championship in Atlanta. So it's as far, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be the end of the FedEx Cup, and
That's right. Yeah.
That's the big $10 million prize pool, for the winner of that, and that's 30 of the best players in that. It gets cut down every so often for these final events.
In a normal year, it would be 30, but whether that'll still be the same this year, I've no idea. I don't know how they're gonna manage that.
Yeah, and then we've kind of talked roughly on the schedule in terms of the restarts for these tours, for the 2 major tours in world golf. You're looking at the PGA Tour are set to return on June the 11th with the Charles Schwab Challenge in Fort Worth, Texas. But it's likely that these early events will be played, obviously without, but it's extremely likely, almost certainly, that these events will be without fans.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long we'll be looking at that for. They might even say, I know that some authorities have come out with, just recently, I saw one this morning that the Dutch are not letting football fans back in until a vaccine is found. So I don't know what that'll be like for golf as well, but certainly just as well dense in terms of the fan base that you can get for golf. I know there's obviously 18 holes, which can be spread around. You have as many, if not more, fans on a golf course than you can in a football stadium. So it's interesting how that's going to work out. And then the European Tour, the tour chief, Keith Pelley, said that he's hopeful for an August restart. But that's extremely difficult to work that one out when there's so many countries involved in that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, for the PGA Tour, June 11th is obviously a month's time, just over a month, which I was reading Colin Montgomery speaking in the Scotsman a couple of weeks back, and just saying how that poses so many issues. Like you mentioned, the travel's probably the biggest one. For someone like him, anyone, end of the day, PGA Tour is not just American golfers. You've got Asian, and everywhere from around the world coming to the USA to play. So that's a big issue. And then in terms of fans being at events, I think the PGA Tour's plans was that the first 4 events after coming back would be behind closed doors, which is without any fans. But the notion of it being behind closed doors is just not true, to be honest, because you've got however many, like, what, 156 players, is that field size for PGA Tour or something like that?
Yeah.
And then so you've got 156 players, plus then they've all got academies. You're over 300 people on site. That's before you've got marshals, you've got scoring officials, got rules officials, you've got TV people, you've got people in the equipment trucks. So you're looking at about 1,000 people on site. And like you say, even though it's an 18-hole golf course, people are going to be
Maybe
in the same place for testing all those people for coronavirus, which I'm guessing they're going to have to do. Then surely those, like, using those tests could be done in a much better way, you would think. I would think anyway. So yeah, to me it poses a lot of questions starting up in a month's time. But I'm sure they have a plan for it. Just be interesting to see if it works.
I think America's been very, very quick in everything, in every aspect of what they've done and tried to come out of the situation we're in. And I think it's come out far too quick in a lot of ways. And I mean, I think Donald Trump is at the moment, he's worried about. They've also got an election coming up. He's worried about the economy because his whole policy was based on the economy. So he's trying to open the country back up and get everything going again, so the economy gets better, and therefore he can try and use it to get back in. That's really, I think, what we're seeing here. I think that PGA to start is again off the back of that. June the 11th is extremely ambitious, and I would be extremely surprised if that was to go ahead. I think they're definitely looking at late July, early August to get any meaningful tournament. I saw something the other day about tennis, and tennis said that it would start back up a couple of tournaments, but they wouldn't have line judges, they wouldn't have ball people, they would have an umpire and the two players, no fans or anything. You're relying on the honesty of everybody in that, but that's how they were going to get tennis some sort of start again. There's a lot of different factors. I can't see June the 11th happening in the PGA Tour. I think the British Masters maybe the first tournament that's maybe happening in the European Tour. Is that not like September or August or something? Early August, I think it is. Yeah, I think it depends where we are with vaccine wise. I think in this country, because that seems to be although this test, trace, isolate thing works as well. I don't know how that's going to work either. It depends on a lot of factors like that. Another thing you have to factor in, then we talked about the Ryder Cup, and that's a very interesting one, because you get a qualification for your place at Ryder Cup. So how's that qualification going to work? It's all well and good. You can have the Ryder Cup behind closed doors, and all well and good if you can get the players there, but what players are going to be there? Because you don't have any qualification to base it off. Is it going to be a case of the captains pick their teams? Then you leave yourself open to a lot of guys who are up and coming players who probably could have sneaked in, your 8th, 9th places in those orders, like your Migley Otsis, your Robert McIntyres, your Victor Perez's, guys like that who probably could have got themselves a first call up for the Ryder Cup, who might be overseen on the basis of the pandemic, and these guys are trusted, etc., etc. You've got to look at your qualification as well. That's not come out yet, but it'd be interesting to see how that works as well. Really.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to bring up. There's a lot of things that obviously you guys have mentioned that even I didn't really think about. Obviously, I'm not from a golfing background myself. I'm not an avid watcher of it. I mean, I'm interested in it from time to time, but I wanted you guys to come on and give me a bit more of an insight into what might happen. I'm more intrigued by what Lewis said about how many people will be there, just in terms of the officials, and obviously players, caddies, the like, etc. And it's fascinating to hear just how this will all work and how many people will be even. I mean, because in golf you'll need all that. You can't go in the way of tennis and say, oh, we'll strip it to its bare bones and say, right, players and caddies, that's it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's like it's just not the way to do it. It's not how golf works. So you need all these people out there, and it's fascinating that you guys bring all this up. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to touch upon the return and how the logistics of it all work, but yeah, seems
I
like
think it's like I've read a lot about what players think of it, and I think they're very skeptical of it too. And well, if it's behind closed doors, like immediately for us playing behind closed doors is like playing any other day, right? Because no one's out watching us anyway. But for
Rightly
Rory
so.
McIlroy, or rightly so, for someone who's a top 10 player in the world, probably not played. They can probably count on one hand the amount of times they've played without anyone actually watching them in the last 10 years. So to have no fans out there is just going to be such a weird thing. And if that was, a regular PGA Tour event, maybe that could work. But a US Open or a Masters, don't know. It's just not going to be a great spectacle. I don't think they'll enjoy it much either. Because, imagine winning the Masters and no one's clapping. It'd just be bizarre.
I think playing without fans. Well, there's a couple of things about playing without fans. One, I think somebody touched on it. Luke Skipper mentioned it the other day that if you have to play behind closed doors, you're going to lose golf balls. And I would quite like to see that, to be honest with you, because you kind of just lob into the crowd and get a nice flat lie.
So that's sympathy for him on that point whatsoever.
No, I'm absolutely none. If I wing into the bushes like early, I will lose the ball. He wings in the bushes, somebody will find it for him. So no, I think that would be interesting to see how they deal with that, because that would make things a bit different. However, what I would say is that if you're playing a Ryder Cup, everybody knows that the atmosphere at Ryder Cup is volatile if you're away from home, right? If there's no fans, and I think the Europeans even said themselves they don't want to play it without fans. But if you go to America and there's no American fans, right, that is a bigger advantage for the away team, because it is uncomfortable to play in a Ryder Cup. I've been to the ones in Europe, and to be fair, the European fans aren't as volatile, shall we say, as the American fans at 3 o'clock after a few pints. So I think that it's a bigger advantage for the away team to have no fans there, particularly Europe going over to America. I wouldn't be keen on it if I was American. I mean, the Americans can set the course up, right? So you're going to have your wide fairways because they kind of hit the driver straight, etc., etc. But they're going to have no fans there to cheer them on, and that's going to be a big benefit to the European team, and that's something that will benefit them. So I know the Europeans have said they don't want it, but it is going to be a benefit to them to try and retain the cup and bring it back. It would be interesting to see, but as I say, if they're following tennis, they could have the caddy, the player, a rules official, or a couple of Roman rules officials, and one scorer in a hut. But that's very basic, and I don't know how that would work. A lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes that you'd have to look into for that one, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, just give me 2 seconds. Just quickly, just touching upon the R&A's decision to
cancel the Open.
Yeah. Is there they seem to be quite abrupt in doing so? There wasn't too much of a decision there to be made, so it was just basically they did think about delaying it or potentially bringing it back, possibly, but they seem to make the decision pretty quickly to cancel the Open. I guess then it was just purely because there was no room for manoeuvre in terms of the dates, because we know it was also the middle of July, so there's not a lot they could have done to maybe delay it, and obviously there's a lot of uncertainty happening in the UK at the moment. Yeah, is it just purely because of that? Is there any real other reasons?
I would say that they could have moved it back to September. However, the Open has a big logistical element to it and a big construction element to it that goes on behind the scenes, and it takes months. For example, the original July date, or I think July date it was, the construction for that begins really. The planning for it starts 2 years ahead, but the construction for it starts usually the third week of March. So with construction shutting down in a lot of ways, do you deem building the Open Championship essential? Because you're having a lot of people on that site and they're going to be working closely together, and that is a big issue. If you've got a virus, that's going to spread really quickly and could wipe out quite a lot of folk. So do you deem that an essential service? Probably not. As I say, they could have moved it back to September, but everything's so uncertain as to what's going on at the minute. Do people have resources to send to do it? And really, I think they've made the right decision, because move it back a year, let everything settle down. The Open isn't an essential, because let's be honest, no sporting event is technically essential at the moment. It is just something to keep everybody occupied. And then have a good successful one, the 149th, and then have the 150th one, and then prepare for that, even like have another year to prepare for it. I think that's the thinking behind it. I would have thought there been more issues than that, but I think that's the main issue behind it, is the issues I've mentioned there. Josh Lewis wants to come on that as well.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest issue is daylight, to be honest. If you're having the Open Championship in the UK in September, like myself and Sean both know, playing university golf through the winter, you've got a very small window where you can play in that, in the middle of summer, it's fine. If you're teeing off at, I think the first tee time in the Open's like 6 or half 6, that's fine in July, but middle of September, that is a no-go because it's dark.
Yeah.
And then you're having guys teeing off usually at 4 in the afternoon. Again, that's just not going to happen. So you're either cutting the field size, which I think is not the way to do it at all, because you're, people who are maybe having a really good year, had a really good year last year, missing out in the Open Championship. So yeah, that's probably, and the chance of having no weather delays over 4 days in the UK in September is just minimal. Yeah, as again, we both know from playing university stuff. So having said that, if it had gone ahead, it would have been an unbelievable spectacle watching professional golfers who are used to brilliant conditions playing in what was likely to be very cold, wet, windy.
Hailstones.
Yeah, hailstones, snow. And on a difficult golf course as it is. So it's disappointing from that point of view as a fan, not being able to watch that. But yeah, there's so many. You could talk about the reasons why it's not going to go ahead, for ages.
You're spot on the logistics on that one, on the time thing as well. That's not a factor. It's something you can't really. I mean, you probably get away with it in America, but not in the UK as much. But yeah.
Yeah. I Sean, just by then, touchwood, we'll be ready to get back to some form of normal in terms of golf.
Right, very quickly, I've got one last question for you. I haven't got an extension on this, I've got 4, but just under 5 minutes left. So, just lastly, guys, we're all looking forward to 2020 in the year of golf. Why was it going to be such an exciting year on the course with all these great players going around, some of them in great form?
I think it's an exciting one for a lot of the Scottish point of view. I think it's a really exciting one. Got a lot more Scottish guys on the tour. Conor Syme, Scott McIntyre playing really well. David Law still there. Even boys coming up. So I think there's a lot of exciting prospects in Scotland. But as a sport as a whole, you had just big 5 events this year. But it just pushes back the excitement. I mean, we just have to live with what we're doing at the moment. Everything will catch up in itself. Everything will come again, and we'll all have it to look forward to in the future. We just have to do our bit at the moment, keep safe, and keep everybody safe, and just accept this is where we are. So the excitement won't go away. It just gets pushed back. I think that's the thing we have to remember.
Yeah, Sean's right. Loads of great Scottish golfers coming through. So for us, that's obviously, it's pushing their their careers back a year, I suppose. But it's the same for everyone. And then coming through in America as well, guys like Matt Wolff and a really good young group of players coming through on the PGA Tour who we won't get to see for a year, and obviously Tiger Woods, who's going to be defending his Masters Championship, which if he's going to do that in November when it's a lot colder, I don't know how his body and in a hole is going to stand up to that. But that's a different point altogether. But yeah, no, it's disappointing, but it's the same for everyone. There's bigger things to be worrying about, and hopefully next year we can get back to some form of normal. But like we were saying earlier, if we do get back to playing in September, from a fan's point of view, that is an unbelievable stretch of golf. So I think we'll all be back home watching that again.
Yeah. No. One thing I just lastly say is that obviously the top guys will have money to get themselves through this. I just hope that a lot of the guys that are on your second, your third tier tours can withstand the financial impact of this and can continue to play after this, and they're not forced out of golf through the situation that they're in, through the economic hardship of it. So that's really the problem is, and I think hopefully I hope nobody's affected by it, and I hope these guys can see it through and progress their careers when it's all over. I think that's where the main issue could be, and obviously thoughts go out to them to try and get them, obviously they can keep themselves going and get back to the pushing for the top tour when they're back.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
Yeah, it's a good point. And on, you could have spoken for a wee bit longer. We did have over a minute left, but guys, thanks very much for coming on. Very insightful conversation there for a good half an hour, 35 minutes. So I appreciate you both coming on and giving us your thoughts on what's been an uncertain time for us all, but certainly one which I find intriguing with the rearrangements that have been made in terms of how the tours may well proceed in the near future. So yeah, thanks very much for coming on, guys. Remember, guys,
no Craig.
No problem at all.
No problem at all.
Yeah, so we've got football podcast should be uploaded very shortly, and golf on should be uploaded just before this weekend. So we'll be back on Saturday for a new one. And until then, guys, thanks very much for joining us. Remember to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, comment anything you like on what we've discussed, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Craig.